Station Commander Yuki Tanaka's coffee mug shattered against the deck plating as the proximity alarms screamed through Titan Station's command center. The massive orbital facility, humanity's most advanced deep space monitoring post, at the edge of the Kuiper belt, had never registered a contact moving at such impossible speeds, especially not one broadcasting human identification codes that didn't exist in any database. Contact bearing 27 Mark 15, velocity holding steady at 0.87 light speed, Senior Tracking Officer James Wright announced, his voice tight with disbelief. "Sir, that's physically impossible for any known human vessel. Our fastest ships max out at 0.3 light speed, and that's with full antimatter reserves." Lieutenant Sarah Kim, the station's xenotechnology specialist, frantically cross-referenced the incoming ship's energy signature against every classification in the Seoul Defense Force database. "Commander, I'm reading propulsion signatures that don't match anything in our files. The quantum resonance patterns they're human in origin, but the technology is decades ahead of anything we've developed." The main display flickered to life, showing a sleek vessel, unlike anything in the human fleet. Its hull bore the distinctive angular lines of human engineering, but incorporated design elements that suggested radical advances in materials science and energy manipulation. Most disturbing of all, it carried no fleet designation, no registration numbers, and no trace of its origin point. Dr. Marcus Chen, the station's chief scientist, pushed through the crowd of technicians gathering around the sensor displays. His weathered face, marked by 40 years of deep space research, showed the kind of concern that made younger officers nervous. "The temporal displacement readings are off the charts," he muttered, adjusting his wire-rimmed glasses. "Either our instruments are malfunctioning, or that ship has been traveling through space-time distortions we barely understand." Commander Tanaka activated the long-range communication array, her fingers trembling slightly as she entered the priority codes. "Unknown vessel, this is Titan Station Control. You're approaching Sol System territorial space without proper identification. Transmit your registry and flight plan immediately, or you will be classified as hostile." The response came immediately, but it wasn't what anyone expected. The voice that crackled through the speakers was distinctly human, speaking perfect Solar Standard English, but with an accent that linguistics experts would later describe as temporally displaced, familiar yet somehow evolved. "Titan Station, this is Captain Elena Vasquez, aboard the temporal research vessel Kronos. We are returning from a deep-time reconnaissance mission under classified Project Looking Glass authorization. Transmitting authentication codes now." The authentication codes that followed made Dr. Chen's blood run cold. They were legitimate Seoul defense codes, but issued according to a cryptographic system that wouldn't be developed for another 15 years. More disturbing still, the ship's captain shared a name with Elena Vasquez, the legendary quantum physicist who had disappeared during the failed temporal experiments of 2,387 experiments that had been classified so deeply that only a handful of people knew they had ever existed. Lieutenant Kim's console erupted in warning lights as she attempted to process the ship's technological readings. "Commander, this vessel is incorporating quantum field manipulators that our theoretical physics department has only begun to conceptualize. The energy output suggests they've solved the unified field equations and weaponized the results." As the mysterious ship drew closer, its intentions became clear through its actions rather than its words. Instead of following standard approach vectors, it began broadcasting detailed warnings about incoming threats that Titan Station's sensors couldn't detect. The ship's advanced scanners were apparently picking up stealth signatures from Zephyrian infiltrator craft that had been stalking the outer system for weeks, undetected by human technology. "Multiple hostile contacts, decloaking," Wright shouted as his displays suddenly filled with alien signatures. 12 Zephyrian hunters, armed with reality-warping weapons. They've been using our own sensor blind spots against us. The unmarked human ship didn't wait for permission to engage. Captain Vasquez's voice cut through the chaos with military precision. Titan Station, recommend immediate evacuation of civilian personnel to emergency bunkers. We are engaging hostile forces with temporal displacement weapons. Do not attempt to provide assistance. Your technology is insufficient for this level of combat. What followed was unlike any space battle in human history. The Kronos moved through space-time itself, appearing and disappearing, as it manipulated the fabric of reality around the attacking Zephyrian vessels. Its weapons didn't simply destroy enemy ships. They erased them from the timeline, creating brief paradoxes that made the station's instruments scream with contradictory readings. Dr. Chen watched in fascination and horror as the mysterious vessel demonstrated technologies that wouldn't be developed for decades. They're not just from the future, he whispered to Commander Tanaka. They're from a future where humanity had to develop weapons capable of fighting enemies that exist partially outside normal space-time. The battle lasted only minutes, but its implications stretched far beyond the immediate threat. As the last Zephyrian infiltrator vanished into temporal discontinuity, the Kronos established a secure communication link with Titan Station's command center. Captain Vasquez's image appeared on the main screen, older than the Elena Vasquez of historical records, bearing scars that suggested battles fought in impossible places against unimaginable enemies. Commander Tanaka, I need you to understand something crucial. The Zephyrian Empire has been infiltrating your timeline for months, preparing for an invasion that your current technology cannot detect or prevent. She paused, her eyes showing the weight of knowledge that came from seeing humanity's future unfold. In our timeline, we discovered too late that the Zephyrians had been using temporal manipulation to erase their defeats and ensure their victories. Billions died before we developed countermeasures. We've come back to prevent that future from occurring. The implications hit the command crew like a physical blow. This wasn't just a case of advanced human technology. It was evidence that the timeline itself was under attack, and that humanity's future selves had developed the capability to fight back through time itself. Lieutenant Kim stammered out the question everyone was thinking, Captain. If you're from the future, doesn't your presence here create a paradox? Vasquez smiled grimly. Lieutenant, we've learned that time is far more resilient than our theory suggested. Paradoxes don't unravel reality. They create alternate probability streams. Our mission is to ensure that this stream leads to a future where humanity survives and thrives, rather than one where we become temporal slaves to alien empires. As the Kronos prepared to depart for its next mission in the shadow war across time, Captain Vasquez transmitted a data package containing technological blueprints that would advance human science by decades. Consider this a down payment on humanity's future, she said. But remember, every advancement you make will change the timeline. Choose your path carefully. The unmarked ship vanished as suddenly as it had appeared, leaving Titan Station's crew to grapple with the reality that they were fighting a war they hadn't even known existed. In the depths of space and time, humanity's future was battling to ensure its own existence, one temporal intervention at a time. Commander Tanaka looked at the data package and realized that humanity's greatest enemy wasn't an alien empire. It was the possibility of their own extinction echoing backward through time itself.